Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So Superman Brandon Routh has just been cast as the Ray Palmer Atom in Season 3 of Arrow. So this video is going to be a breakdown of that character as well as my thoughts about how he's going to fit in with Team Arrow. Peter Stormare was also cast as the new Count Vertigo, the new 52 version of the character. He's not a spin on the Seth Gable version that we saw in Seasons 1 or 2 or anything like that. But hello to any new people. If you're just finding me for the first time, I'm doing bonus Arrow videos while we wait for Season 3 to get here. It's going to be a little while. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. There's even a bunch of Comic-Con stuff that's going to be happening, so I'm really excited. So let's just start with the thought that Superman is coming to Arrow. I know, Justice League, everyone go crazy. It is kind of weird to think about Brandon Routh playing two comic book characters inside the DC universe, but think about it this way. Chris Evans played Johnny Storm and became Captain America, and that went off really, really well. So it's like if a brand really likes you as an actor, they'll keep reaching out to you with new opportunities. I really did like the Brandon Routh version of Superman, and he was really awesome on Chuck as a villain, but I'm really glad to see him get to play a big iconic superhero again. It's also a lesson that someday in like a million years, whenever Arrow season 1 billion and the Arrow movie is over, Warner Brothers and DC will continue to reach out to Stephen Amell with new opportunities. So it's really nice to see loyalty from a big brand in that way. So let's talk about the Ray Palmer character first from the comics. Just like with the Barry Allen version of the Flash they did, this version of the Atom is probably going to be a mixture of different versions of the character. They're really good about laying in Easter eggs from all across the character's history. There have been about 7 different versions of the Atom character over the years, and currently in the New 52 universe, the most recent version has actually been played by a woman. They actually called it the Atomica character. It was a little bit of a twist. The Ray Palmer version is still present in the New 52 comics, the ones going on right now, but before the New 52 reboot and Flashpoint, in the Green Lantern Brightest Day comic, he crossed paths with Deathstroke, obviously played by Manu Bennett on Arrow. So I'm hoping that they tie a lot of these Easter eggs together. He was also featured a lot in the Suicide Squad comics, like the really, really old classic Suicide Squad comics. The most notable Atom story that comes to mind is from Identity Crisis. That comic was kind of infamous for doing a few awful things to Sue Dinby. Palmer's estranged wife, Jean Loring, ends up using the Atom suit to shrink herself and accidentally kills Dinby. She had this epic mental breakdown, and Ray Palmer felt so guilty after it all happened that he basically just disappeared. They were basically taking his comic away and bringing in a new version of the character, and that was the way they did that. She ended up getting locked up in Arkham Asylum. They paid it off later in Blackest Night, but it was a really big dramatic arc. So what does this mean for Brandon Routh's version of the character? Well, he was described as having a really dark past, so I'm wondering how they're going to weave in this Jean Loring story. I don't expect them to do a direct adaptation of the comics, but I think that Brandon Routh's character is just going to be haunted by some really tragic past events. So here's a breakdown of the origin story for the Ray Palmer Atom. He's the second version of the character, and they've actually rebooted him several times over the years, but this is the original version. He started out as a physics professor at Ivy University in New England and found a white dwarf star meteorite that landed on Earth. He used that to make a lens that allowed him to shrink himself down. During Zero Hour back in the 90s, during that comic book arc, they rebooted the character, and he was turned into a teenage version of himself for a while, and was able to shrink and grow himself without needing his special tech. Just like all long-running comics, they rebooted the character again, made him older, and he had to start using the tech again, but he became a professor and ended up teaching the Ronnie Raymond version of Firestorm. He was also working with the Justice League at that time, but the funny thing about Ronnie Raymond is that is the stepson of Felicity Smoke in the comics. I know on Arrow there's supposed to be a Ray Palmer Felicity ship, but it's just funny the way they tie their comic book characters together. Speaking of ships, let's talk about his relationship with the other members of Team Arrow. Because of the events of Identity Crisis and Palmer's wife murdering Sue Dinby, it created a lot of tension between Palmer and the other members of the Justice League, mostly Hawkman. He's not going to be featured on Arrow, but I'm wondering if Brandon Routh's character will have any bad blood with Oliver. Oliver's character on Arrow shares a lot of personality traits with the Carter Hall Hawkman. Very dark, very brooding. Because he's supposed to be a foil for Oliver this season, I'm expecting there to be a little bit of tension, but they are both superheroes, so they will end up being a team. I'm not expecting Brandon Routh to be full-on Atom with Team Arrow till the end of the season. I feel like that's like a really big epic reveal, so at least maybe the mid-season finale before we see that happen. Typically they reserve, major comic book character reveals for that mid-season finale. But since that's a long way away, here are a couple really important Atom stories for you to read up on. Some really good ones are Sword of the Atom. It was a series written in the 80s. Secret Origins number 29 is a good prequel story for the character. The first 8 issues of Power of the Atom and, of course, Identity Crisis are all amazing stories. The Atom was also featured a lot in the classic Suicide Squad comics, so I'm wondering if Brandon Routh's character is going to have some sort of historical beef with Amanda Waller, because it seems like anyone who appears on Arrow and is a major character is connected to Waller at some point. If you don't like reading old comics, some really good Atom stories from the last couple of years are Blackest Night and Brightest Day. That's where the big Deathstroke crossover happens. So you're asking, right now in the comics, there's a female version of the character. What's up with that? Right now in the New 52 comics, Rhonda Pineda, the Atomica character is what they're calling her, is a Justice League member who's secretly working for Amanda Waller, more Suicide Squad crossover. She's spying on new Justice League recruits, but it turns out that she's basically like a triple agent, secretly working as a member of the crime syndicate on Earth 3. If you've never seen any of the Crime Syndicate stories in the comics or in the cartoons, they're basically like an evil alternate universe version of the Justice League. Her version of the character ended up getting her powers in a freak lightning storm at Star Labs and fell into an experiment that universe's version of Ray Palmer was conducting. I just love the way they connect Star Labs and Amanda Waller to everything on Arrow and in the comics. It's so much fun. But what does this all mean for Arrow's version of the character? It sounds like what they're going to be doing with Brandon Routh's character is combining the more modern aspects of the Ray Palmer alter ego and the classic look of his costume. As for the actual reveal of his costume, I'm hoping that they do it at the Comic-Con panel, but they might wait till they actually start airing episodes. They might wait till that mid-season finale to reveal the costume. As for changing his backstory, he's supposed to be a tech genius on Arrow, but as of right now, we have no idea how he gets mixed up with Team Oliver. I'm guessing it'll have something to do with Amanda Waller and the new villain, Count Vertigo, played by Peter Stormare. Plus, there's the whole new Felicity ship that was teased in all the casting notes, so I'm sure a lot of you shippers are asking how Atomicity is going to affect Allicity. There might be a few small explosions on Tumblr, but I'm hoping they tie Felicity's character to Ray Palmer with some sort of past event, like they knew each other from some other thing. But it's entirely possible that Felicity could be meeting him for the first time in Season 3. It sounds like Brandon Routh's version of the character is going to be about the same age as Oliver, even though Brandon Routh in real life is way older than Stephen Amell. They both look pretty much the same age. And based on the casting notes, it sounds like Routh's character is going to be doing salmon ladders around Oliver anyway, so Team Arrow might end up helping him defeat some villain, not the other way around. Brandon Routh's version of the character is supposed to be like, super huge. For now, I'm just going to think of him as like a big brother that Oliver never had. And I think the Atomicity thing, the shipping, will just be teased for most of the season. We are in our third year, and Felicity hasn't really had a lot of makeout scenes, so I feel like she's due. But what if you don't care about all the shipping and you just want to know about the villain? As for Count Vertigo, I cannot wait to see Peter Stormare go nuts. He's playing the comic book version of the character. I think Seth Gable's version was just an original spin that the show did. He's still going to be a drug dealer on the show pushing Vertigo, but because Stormare is such a big casting, he might turn out to be the big villain of Season 3. Malcolm Merlyn is a cast regular, but he's more of a neutral figure at this point. He could end up playing both sides, so I don't think he's going to be the big bad. If you do want to read more about Count Vertigo in the comics, just read the New 52 version of the character. In the New 52 universe, Team Arrow actually ended up traveling to Count Vertigo's homeland to rescue the Shadow character, so I'm wondering if they're going to do a road trip episode where Team Arrow has to rescue Felicity or someone else. It's not quite the super fun Arrow road trip I was hoping for, but I am still super excited. It's going to be awesome. Routh is an amazing actor, and he does superhero genre really, really well, so I think he's going to fit in with the Arrow cast perfectly. I can't wait to see some of Stephen Amell's Q&As and behind-the-scenes videos. He's really good about posting videos to Facebook whenever they're in the middle of production, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Speaking of which, what about all the fun stuff that's going on at Comic-Con? I fully expect Brandon Routh and hopefully Peter Stormare to sit on the Arrow Comic-Con panel. Stephen Amell has been saying he's doing way more than just that Arrow panel that weekend, so I'll be doing tons of bonus videos for all that stuff. A lot of people thought that he was going to secretly announce some sort of Justice League stuff, but he totally shot that down. But be sure to subscribe to get all my bonus videos. I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of Comic-Con stuff. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening. It's going to be a lot of fun. Since I'm posting this today, and it's typically not a day when I usually post Arrow videos, I'm going to try and follow up later this week with my top 5 Atom stories. So right now you can click here to learn more about the Katana character, the other big comic book character coming to Arrow Season 3, and click here to learn about my top 10 favorite Season 2 characters. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys tonight. High fives.